Welcome to today's deep dive.
Mm.
Let's start with a scenario I think you are going to find very familiar.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Right. So you pull up your calendar for the week, and you are just staring at a wall of solid color blocks.
Just back-to-back blocks.
Exactly. Back to back. And you catch yourself wondering, how many of these gatherings could have just been an email?
We've all been there.
We really have. You're
Yeah.
trapped in a room or, staring at a grid of faces on a video call, watching the minutes tick by, entirely unsure of what the actual goal is or why you were even invited.
Yeah,
But today, we're going to fix that.
we are. And we are doing it by looking at a piece of source material that comes from a very unexpected place.
Definitely unexpected.
Yeah, we are not pulling from some trendy Silicon Valley productivity manifesto or a tech startup's handbook. We are looking at an internal training document on conducting meetings, and it is from the Supervisory Skills Development Program of Fubaya Mining, or PBM.
And just to set the stage for you, the cover of this internal document features a massive, incredibly intimidating Caterpillar 777D dump truck.
It's a beast.
It is, specifically truck number 136, parked at this sprawling, dusty mining site. And that image alone tells you everything you need to know about the tone of what we're about to discuss.
Absolutely.
We are not talking about abstract corporate synergy here. We are digging into heavy-duty, practical, boots-on-the-ground advice for getting things done.
It is a stark contrast to how modern office culture usually treats meetings. I mean, a mining operation is about raw efficiency, safety, and moving massive physical obstacles.
All right, the stakes are high.
Exactly. You cannot afford ambiguity when you are dealing with heavy machinery and explosives. And this document treats a human meeting with that exact same level of mechanical rigor.
It really does.
It views a meeting not as a place to just sit around and chat, but as a structured mechanical tool. It's an engine for problem-solving and decision-making.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, and just like a massive Caterpillar dump truck, this engine needs to be operated correctly. Otherwise, it completely breaks down and grinds the entire operation to a halt.
So our mission today is to extract this blueprint for planning, controlling, and ultimately surviving your calendar. We want to help you turn these gatherings from a complete drain on your time into a powerful machine for building actual solutions.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's unpack this. In an age where we have instantaneous emails, direct messaging platforms, and collaborative digital workspaces, why does a heavy industry manual insist we still need to physically or virtually gather people together in real time?
That is the foundational question to start with. And the source document draws a very hard line here.
It doesn't pull punches.
No, it points out that memorandums, reports, and by extension, emails are fundamentally one-way communication.
Right.
You send the information out into the void, you have no immediate way of knowing how it is being received, how it is being interpreted, or if the reader is confused and needs clarification.
You're just hoping for the best.
Exactly. Face-to-face meetings, according to the PBM training, are absolutely crucial for two very specific operational reasons: information sharing and problem solving.
And under that information sharing umbrella, the text gives some high-stakes examples that really ground the discussion. We are talking about daily production meetings, budget reviews, and regular safety toolbox talks.
Which are critical.
Yeah, for context, those toolbox talks are the mandatory quick shift start huddles where a crew reviews immediate physical hazards before anyone even touches a piece of equipment. But what really stood out to me was the manual's intense focus on sensitive information.
It's a very mechanical way to look at human behavior, which is what makes it so effective.
How so?
Well, if information is highly sensitive, or if it is likely to cause a strong emotional reaction, sending a one-way message is just a recipe for disaster. The manual specifically highlights the importance of face-to-face information sessions with outside groups.
Ah, right.
Think about who an operation like this deals with. You've got government officials, local communities, and village leadership.
You can't just email them.
No. If you just blast them with a formal memo about a sensitive land issue or an operational change, you are asking for pushback. When you sit in a room and discuss sensitive issues directly, you achieve a much higher rate of acceptance.
Because you're there.
Yes. You are there to answer questions in real time, you can read their body language, and most importantly, you allow them to feel heard.
Which moves us perfectly into the second big reason for gathering, which is problem solving. This is where you are planning major projects or fixing operational bottlenecks that require involvement from two or more distinct departments.
That cross-functional stuff.
Exactly. And there is a psychological insight in the text regarding buy-in that I found fascinating. The manual states plainly that groups generally make better decisions than individuals.
And it breaks down exactly why that happens, avoiding the whole cliche that two heads are better than one.
Right, it gets specific.
It does. An effective meeting allows different people to bring three distinct raw materials to the table: their individual experience, their specialized knowledge, and their unique ideas.
It's like mixing concrete.
Exactly like that. When you force people to actively listen to other suggestions, a solution isn't just thought up in a vacuum, it is actively built. One person's idea stimulates a modification from someone else.
Yeah.
The final result is often a robust solution that no single person in that room could have possibly engineered on their own.
It really is the ultimate collaborative machinery. But, I do have to wonder, doesn't that open the door to groupthink? If everyone is just blending their ideas together, you might end up with a watered-down compromise rather than the sharpest solution.
That is a valid concern, and it's exactly why the text emphasizes the diversity of experience in the room, which we will get to when we discuss the guest list.
Okay.
But to your point about human nature, the text ties this collaborative building process directly to two incredibly powerful concepts you should keep in mind: inclusion and ownership.
Ownership is huge.
It's everything. People naturally want to be involved in making decisions that will eventually affect their daily routines. When they are included in the blueprint phase, they understand the architecture of the final decision much better.
I see where they're going with that. Because if you just hand down a mandate from corporate or from the mine manager, compliance is going to be sluggish.
Oh, very sluggish.
People might follow the new rule when the boss is looking, but they'll revert to old habits the second they look away.
Exactly. Ownership is the key to implementation. As the manual points out, people are significantly more committed to a new protocol or a solution if they actually help to design it.
That makes perfect sense.
You aren't just solving a logistical problem in that room, you are recruiting a team of advocates who will go back to their respective departments and defend that solution because their fingerprints are on it.
So now that we understand the core mechanics of why we're turning the key in the ignition, let's move into the planning phase.
The blueprint.
Right. And the source has a golden rule that I honestly think needs to be framed in every conference room on Earth. If you try to do everything, you achieve nothing.
It is a brilliant preventative maintenance rule. To ensure you don't try to boil the ocean, Fubai Mining lays out incredibly strict guidelines for engineering the meeting, starting with who gets to walk through the door.
The guest list.
Yes. You must only invite people who fit two very specific, non-negotiable criteria. They either need to possess the specific knowledge, information, and skills required to solve the problem, or they need to have the actual organizational authority to implement whatever decisions get made.
So if they do not check one of those two boxes, they do not get an invite.
No invite.
It cuts out the observers, the people who are just there to stay in the loop.
Eh.
I also noted the strict capacity limit the manual sets. If you are holding a problem-solving meeting, you should have no more than 8 to 10 people in that room, period.
That's a hard limit.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because if you have 20 people sitting around a table, you aren't problem-solving anymore. You are hosting an audience.
Exactly. And once you have calibrated your guest list, you have to build your agenda. The training provides a structural hack here that flips standard corporate advice on its head.
This part surprised me.
Yeah, when you list the items to be discussed, you are instructed to always put the easiest to resolve topics first and purposely save the most difficult, contentious issues for the very end.
I have to stop you there because that feels entirely backward to me.
A lot of people feel that way.
If I am facing a massive, complex operational crisis, my instinct is to tackle it at minute 1 while everyone is fresh and caffeinated. If I spend the first 30 minutes of my meeting on easy administrative wins, aren't I risking running out of time for the actual multi-million-dollar problem at the bottom of the page?
It is a common assumption. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about the cognitive load and the social friction in that room. If you start with the most difficult, heavily debated issue, the group can get hopelessly bogged down before they've even warmed up. Frustration builds immediately, people dig their heels in, and you might spend the entire allotted time fighting over a single point.
I've definitely been in those meetings.
Right. By starting with the easiest topics, you are priming the engine. You build immediate momentum. The group gets used to agreeing, to making rapid decisions, and to moving forward together.
Building a rhythm.
Exactly. By the time you hit the heavy-duty issue at the end of the agenda, the team is already functioning smoothly as a collaborative unit. The gears are greased.
That makes a lot of sense when you frame it around momentum. Let's talk about the ticking clock, because The PBM document treats time as a highly finite resource.
It does.
It states that you should intentionally plan meetings to last no more than 60 minutes, and it gives an absolute hard limit for human tolerance, 90 minutes.
They are very firm on that 90-minute ceiling. After that point, attention spans collapse, and the quality of decision-making drops off a cliff.
And we have to mention the funniest, most relatable little caveat buried in this section.
Oh, the smoker rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
It says 90 minutes is the maximum, quote, maybe less for smokers.
It's so honest.
It really grounds the entire document in the reality of a rugged worksite. If you are looking at your agenda during the planning phase and you realize the material is going to take longer than 60 minutes, the manual gives you two stark choices.
Right.
You either ruthlessly delete the non-essential items, or you split the agenda and schedule two entirely separate meetings.
It all routes back to that golden rule. Trying to do everything achieves nothing. And staying within that tight 60-minute window relies heavily on pre-work.
The homework.
Yeah. For a problem-solving session, you cannot let people just wander in cold. The baseline expectation is sending a copy of the agenda to every invited person well in advance.
But the machinery doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
The leader is expected to personally contact each participant prior to the meeting. You either ask them to bring specific data that will be needed, or, as is a fantastic tool, you ask them to create a written list of their thoughts, ideas, and proposed solutions before they even walk through the door.
That completely eliminates the first 20 minutes of a typical corporate meeting where everyone is just staring at the ceiling, trying to formulate an initial thought on the spot.
Just dead air.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
force the preparation, so when the door closes, you hit the ground running.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The door does close, the meeting begins. How do we actually control the chaos? Gathering 8 highly opinionated experts in a room is a recipe for a disaster if there isn't a firm hand on the wheel.
The training manual breaks down the critical first steps the leader must take to mentally focus the room. Before any debate begins, you have to establish the boundaries of the sandbox.
Set the rules of engagement.
Yes, you do this by clearly stating what the group needs to achieve, reading through the agenda out loud, and explicitly checking to confirm that every single person understands the mission.
Immediately after setting those boundaries, the document insists on delegating authority. The leader does not try to manage the entire machine alone. You must appoint 2 critical roles before the first topic is even opened.
These are vital.
First, a timekeeper. Their specific job is to call out when the planned time for an agenda item has expired.
Think about the social dynamics of a meeting. It is inherently awkward to interrupt a colleague to tell them they are taking too long.
Nobody wants to be the bad guy.
Exactly. By formally delegating a timekeeper, you turn that person into a pressure valve, you remove the emotional friction. It's just their assigned job to watch the clock, which frees up the leader to focus entirely on the quality of the discussion.
That's smart.
And the second role you must assign is the secretary. Their job is not just to take vague notes, it is to strictly record the actual decisions that are made.
I can't count the number of times I've sat through a 45-minute debate, everyone nods, we all leave the room, and 3 days later, nobody remembers what we actually decided to do because nobody was formally tasked with writing it down.
It happens constant.
So you have your goal, your timekeeper, your secretary, the discussion starts. And the manual points out a really dangerous trap that leaders fall into, the desire to keep the peace.
This is a phenomenal insight into team dynamics. We often assume that a meeting where everyone quickly nods and agrees is a highly successful, efficient meeting.
We think we're crushing it.
But the Fubaya mining document warns that this is actually a warning sign of a broken machine. Groups that always quickly agree with one another do not come up with the best ideas. Often, group members are just agreeing to keep the peace, or they are actively avoiding conflict because they want the meeting to end.
That is so relatable. You just want to get back to your actual work, so you nod along with a mediocre plan.
Right.
The manual instructs the leader that they actually need to introduce friction. You have to observe who is talking and, crucially, who is sitting quietly in the corner. You have to intentionally draw out those quieter members. Keep pushing the group to debate the issue until you genuinely feel all alternative options have been fully stress tested.
It is the difference between achieving true, tested consensus and settling for mere compliance. But intentionally pushing for different opinions means you are inevitably going to encounter interpersonal friction.
Naturally.
And the manual dedicates an entire section to what happens when that friction turns destructive.
Yes, the meeting monsters.
Mm.
The quote they use to open this section is painfully honest. It says, "The one thing that spoils it is some of the people that you have to share it with."
It's harsh but true.
Let's walk through the specific difficult profiles they identify, because these individuals will absolutely derail your progress.
The first profile is the fault finder. This is the participant who finds a flaw in absolutely everything. They constantly criticize ideas without ever offering a constructive path forward. The text notes their favorite catchphrases.
Oh, I know these.
That will not work. We tried that before, or it is not practical.
The manual compares the fault finder to cold water on a hot fire. They actively discourage everyone else in the room from speaking up. If you know your idea is just going to get shot down by this person, you stop offering ideas.
Then you have the show-off. This is the person who treats the meeting as a stage. They spend their time trying to prove to everyone else in the room how smart they are. They will purposely use dense technical language and obscure jargon just to talk over people's heads.
We all know a show-off. Then there is the side talker. These are the folks having private whispered conversations with each other while someone else has the floor. I've been in rooms with side talkers, and it completely shatters the focus of whoever is trying to present.
It's incredibly distracting.
And finally, the time wasters. These are the people who completely dominate the floor, rambling on tangentially, frustrating everyone else who is denied an opportunity to speak. The manual uses a great phrase here. It says they put the meeting underwater.
Identifying these profiles is one thing, but how does a leader actually neutralize them? The manual provides actionable tools. It acknowledges that personality clashes are inevitable, especially when people are defending their departmental interests. Things can get heated.
So what's the antidote?
The leader's primary job is to act as a shield for the group's productivity. If a fault finder starts shooting down an idea, the leader must step in and force them to pivot. You say something like, "You've pointed out the logistical flaw in this plan. Now, what is your proposed alternative?"
Force them to build.
Exactly. You force them to build rather than just destroy.
And for the show-off, you redirect their jargon back to the practical agenda. You politely ask them to clarify how their technical point specifically solves the agenda item at hand.
Bring them back down to earth.
Right. Most importantly, the leader must quickly and decisively shut down any personal attacks or verbal insults. You do not let the engine overheat. You keep everyone strictly focused on the mechanical steps of the agenda.
Keep the wheels turning.
So what does this all mean? Let's say you've successfully navigated the fault finders, you've kept to your 60-minute limit, and the group has finally reached an agreement. How do we ensure this wasn't all just empty talk?
This is where the manual drops its most critical piece of operational advice: decisions need actions. An abstract agreement in a room is completely worthless without execution.
Just hot air.
Exactly. Just because the group has reached a consensus does not mean you have actually achieved anything yet.
This goes right back to our designated secretary. They cannot just write down, "We agreed to fix the issue." They must record in the minutes exactly who will be responsible for taking the agreed action and exactly when it must be completed.
To really visualize how this machinery works in practice, the source material includes a snippet of actual meeting minutes from the Fubaya mining archives. It is from an administration building conference room on December 20th, 2008.
The meeting was titled Problem-Solving Camp to Site Transportation. It was called by the general manager, and the guest list was tight. Just 5 key guys with the knowledge and authority to fix the issue.
Right. Attendees included Rob Usher, John Honan, Dwayne Simons, Olaf Visser, and Brett Davies.
You can see the rules being applied perfectly there.
Hmm.
No audience, just problem solvers. And the problem is defined with zero ambiguity. The road condition between the GMO camp and the PKM site is slowing down travel time.
And for context, the GMO camp was essentially their residential base, and the PKM site was the active mining area.
Look at how specific the directive action is recorded. The secretary didn't just write, "Fix the road." The minutes state, "Road is to be regraded and resurfaced to remove major potholes." It assigns the action clearly to a specific group, the mining depth, and it gives them a hard, undeniable deadline of January 1st, 2009.
There's a second item recorded, too. The current buses they were using weren't suitable for those rugged off-road conditions.
Yeah.
So the recorded action was to look at purchasing off-road type buses, and a specific individual was tasked with obtaining the quotes by a certain date. It is precise, it is accountable, and it is time-bound.
Which leads us to the proper way to shut down the engine and close the loop. When you have resolved an agenda item, or when the timekeeper announces the scheduled time has run out, the leader must perform a very specific wrap-up sequence.
The shutdown procedure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You briefly summarize what the group discussed and explicitly state what they have decided to do. The text actually provides a script for leaders to use. So we discussed what we need to do to improve the road. Wait, let me read that without pausing.
Yeah.
So we discussed what we need to do to improve the road. We have decided that we will, and then you list the action.
Right. Once you state that, you transition to the next item. And if you run out of time entirely before finishing the agenda, you don't just keep people trapped in the room past the 90-minute mark.
You never violate that rule.
You either officially agree as a group to extend the time, or you schedule another meeting. Finally, you request the secretary to distribute those detailed minutes by a specific date.
Keep everyone accountable.
And if the meeting was a success, you take a moment to genuinely thank the participants for their hard work. A little bit of gratitude acts as preventative maintenance for the next time you need to gather them.
It reinforces the exact collaborative behavior you want to see the next time the group convenes.
Precisely.
So to summarize the ultimate takeaways for you today, meetings are an incredibly expensive use of human capital. But when they are treated like heavy machinery, equipped with a strict easiest first agenda, designated pressure valve roles like a timekeeper and secretary, and a zero-tolerance policy for fault-finders and time wasters, they transform.
They really do.
They stop being a burdensome block on your calendar and become the ultimate, finely tuned tool for collaborative problem-solving.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Think about the next meeting you are invited to attend on your calendar.
Just pick one.
Yeah. Based on the strict FOBIA mining rules we just discussed, ask yourself, do you actually possess the unique knowledge required for that topic or the authority to implement the final decision?
That's the real test.
It is, because if the answer is no, perhaps it's time to politely decline that invite and just ask for the minutes instead.
It's a fantastic challenge for protecting your time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.